You know, that time you wish you hadn't wore full armour and ridden 2 miles out of range, and you wish you put a trolley handle on. You know that time. Yeah.
Look, hello, testing. We have got audio. This is brilliant. It's actually starting to work. So there's been massive changes within everything since March March this year. So we are back up and running, thankfully. Yep, that's working. So what we're trying to do, well, me, Mario is actually not at work. He's in a foreign land at the moment, but it now appears to be working. So comment to make sure that the comments are actually coming through. What you can see on the table is a whole array of wheels, almost the tune of 10 grand's worth. And so we've got the Monster Pro and the EX. So Monster Pro and EX. But I'm starting to doubt now whether anybody is actually able to hear me, because I've got 0 comments coming through. So it's either the chat console within YouTube's not working now, or the audio isn't. So someone do a shout out and say, yes, we got audio, or no, you haven't. And then I'll continue. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself, which is never fun. Let me just test the audio on my side. It's definitely working my side. Let's turn that off. Yep. It's working my side, but no, I haven't got any chat coming through. Do. Later date, start. I'm going back to the stream. Yes, it's now working again. Okay. This is very, very unreliable, what's coming from YouTube. And apologies for that. There's literally nothing I can do about it. Okay, so you're all here. I can now see it. So it looks like, see where I've made it. Yep, good. Is there audio? Sound off? Nope. Yes, now I hear you. Right, thanks for bearing with me. This is completely all over the place because so many changes have gone in. But I think we're getting there now. We've got cameras working and we've got messages coming through from all these people saying yes. So I hope you're all well in this very, very weird time. You just have to bear with me while I try and sort stuff out. So here we are. And as you may have guessed, we've actually got multiple wheels here. One of those being the EX and Monster Pro, and kind of wrapped them all up and put them together. So you can kind of just have a quick sneak peek, essentially, before a video review goes out. I've had them in for some time, but they arrive with no batteries fitted and no footplates, as the keen viewer will be able to see. If I zoom out, there you are, look, see, you can see that. Obviously, Monster Pro, absolutely humongous, 24-inch wheel, completely crazy. But there we go. Yet to try it. Will be fitting the batteries at some point. It's been a bit chock-a-block lately. And then we've got the EX, and then we've got the 100-volt Monster Gen 3, and we've got the Sherman sat at the back there. And obviously, they're all in slightly different positions, so the Sherman might look fairly small. In comparison to the Monster Pro, it is. There we go. Okay, so Ronnie's in the house, Critical Pixel's in the house, Chris Foyondela, Olav, Norway, Sherman, done 1,800 kilometers on it. A KS18XL, 9,000 kilometers, and a Tesla, 2,300 kilometers. Now, if you remember the old format, when you join in, you've got to say your wheel and your miles, basically. There we go. I should be working, Critical Pixel says. Well, not long now, Christmas holidays. So let me just turn this off as well. Messages coming through. Who's that messaging me? Don't know. Let's have a little look. Chat is working. Good. Chat's working. Can't mute the phone now. It's not letting me. There we are. Muted. John Logan. Or Lachlan. I'm not ever sure how to spell that name. Well, he would be. Critical Pixel would be. But he's waiting on a V11. I wonder where he got that from. Massive jams. Massive jams. Yeah. Massive jams all over for spare parts, for inbound shipments. And now in the last, couple of days, all outbound traffic completely stopped here in the UK. It has been an absolute nightmare and continues to be a nightmare. We've got stuff that we ordered, wow, April, May, probably May time that still hasn't got here. So we got parts galore, everything, loads of inbound shipments. It has been a year to not remember in terms of inbound shipments and parts and stuff. It's just been absolutely crazy. Dave Wood, 982, have your customers had issues with these hollow motors and bearings across the range? V11 has been the biggest one that's had issues. So the Gotway's not had them with the RS. I know there's been reports all over of, there always is online, isn't it? Because the bad stuff gets online. The people are just having a whale of a time. Very rarely go online to complain about how much of a good time they're having. And so you get like this massive tilt over to things going wrong rather than the positives as well. And the RS, so my RS is still going really strong, whereas some people have had a report I've seen online like 200 miles in, the bearing's not been any good. The V11s, we've got loads of V11s that have been fine. We've had about five with bearing issues, so not a motor failure as such, but the bearing going on the latest version. So yeah, I think it's something they're trying to iron out across all of them. So yeah, no wheel, no miles, working on it, but really loved your content. Thank you very much, Chris. Time for you to get a wheel. Perhaps you'll get gifted one at Christmas. That'd be really, really good, wouldn't it? EUC Addict, MSX 100 volt, 900 plus miles. Not my wheel though. It's borrowed till my Monster Pro comes in. Monster Pro, look at that. I'm stuck on my one wheel pint, getting about 4 mile range in this weather. Oh my goodness. That is, yeah, it's not great, is it? Hello, Gotway Tesla 680 watt hour with 1,600 kilometers. Interested by RS19 C38. Excellent stuff. So we'll have more videos coming out probably as Christmas period ends, New Year, when Mario's back at work. We'll get more videos out and stuff like that. But it's taken several hours to set the equipment up for the live studio. It's all been boxed away because of all this lockdown. But we got it out today to find that everything's changed completely. So it's like, oh my goodness. Tony says, how are you getting on with the Monster Pro? Monster Pro has no batteries in it and also has no foot plates on it. They're in the box down here by the side of me. I brought them all in. I thought perhaps I'd do it on air, but that might be pushing it a little bit considering the trouble I've already had on my lonesome. So it's just about surviving on this stand. I don't even want to touch it because the stand's bowing out like that to fit the bottom in, just to stand it up so you guys could see it. Otherwise, I've had to plonk it down here. So it's clinging on by the skin of its teeth. Steve says, will a new batch of V11s have the updated motor? So it's, they say, not necessarily the motor, is actually the bearings within the motor. And all the models that we sent out with the V11 all had the latest version of the bearing in there. So don't know what that means, really. We did question it within Motion when we had the 5 people that have had failures. When we got to sort of the third one, we said, you know, the ones we received, they were the latest, weren't they? Because they held off our shipment intentionally to get the latest, because we wanted the latest version of bearing in there. So we held off. Then people were like, where the heck are these V11s? We're like, well, you want the latest version, really, with the new bearing in it. Got the version with the new bearing in it. And then we've had, say, I think it's 5 people with issues with that, which is a small percentage, to be fair. But nonetheless, they have had issues with them. So it's the bearing, basically. But what we've done is we've swapped out the motor units. So we've sent new motor units out. So the entire motor, because it's the bearings, and it's a pain in the ass to change the bearings. So we sent the motor units out, which is a lot easier. So in answer to the question, ours already had the latest version in there. So, because we wouldn't have sold the ones that weren't any good. So hopefully, I don't know if anything's changed from there, but when I questioned it, must be 2 weeks ago, something like that, they said, yeah, the latest version. So, okay, right. Okay, it is what it is, I suppose. Is, you know, we don't manufacture them, they do, and in fact, they don't manufacture the motor either. A manufacturer of motors manufactures it for InMotion, and I presume they're just pushing back on them to correct the bedding and issues. So, yeah, Tony Jennings, I've put 1,000 miles on my Nicola, and the monster has been tempting me. Yes, I can't wait to get on this. The batteries arrived today. So the batteries and footplates for the EX and the Monster Pro arrived today. Hence the reason I thought, actually, I'll stack them up here. We do a quick live feed. Just to give you a bit of a sort of whet your appetite on what we got here, sat here waiting to go. We've had these in for over a week, the Monster Pro and the EX, but we're just waiting on the footplates and everything. Inbound shipments, as I say, have been an absolute nightmare. Everything's slowed down and it's getting slowly worse, which I didn't think would even be possible. Unfortunately, Monster Pro EX, EXN have been delayed for about 20 days due to Gotway reevaluating their bearing issue. Another delay in getting the Monster Pro. Rory says, I've got a V8, but weather is bad, not been on it yet. So just make sure you keep that on charge. So if you guys are storing your wheels for winter, make sure you take care of that battery, because one of the biggest things, especially with the InMotion batteries, is you can shove them away for 3 months, not charge them, and you've got problems. So make sure once a month you charge your wheel, stick it on charge. Even if you left it full, make sure you put it back on charge again. If you look at the Segway manual, not InMotion, the Segway manual, it recommends that you do that every month anyway, just to keep it balanced. So at the end of a charging cycle, it typically balances out the cells, every single little cell in there. So that's one strong table. Do you know what, Dave? I hadn't even considered that. You've got, mind you, there's no batteries in this one and this one, so that's pretty sweet. So these are about probably out getting over half the weight, if not more, than they would be with loaded up with batteries and footplates. Hence the reason they've been separated out, to keep them under the 30 kilogram weight limit for getting them in via air. So these have come in by air with the batteries removed. So one package has to go with the batteries, and it has to go as dangerous goods because it's batteries within, you know, isolated batteries. And so you have your own problems with importing that then. And then these just come straight in with no real hassle. Hence they arrived way before the batteries did, which is down by me. The Monster's fully loaded up. 2,000, no, that's 1,850. And then you've got the Sherman, 3,200 watt hours. So yeah, there's quite a lot of weight sat on this table, but it is a strong table, that's for sure. Jerry says 16X, less than 1,000 miles. First season just done. Congratulations, Jerry, on your 16X in your first season. Do you think Gotway's name change to Bigodi was a good or bad move? I just think don't know why they bothered. To be honest, that's my opinion. Just stick with it, and it is what it is. Gotway, everyone knows Gotway. I call this Gotway Monster Pro because you've got the Monster Gen 3 and the Monster Pro, so it's the same. So stick with it, Gotway. Gotway is just a strange name in the first place, like most of the names that come out of these manufacturers in China. Against wheels. I mean, King Song's a strange name. Gotway's a strange name. Changing it to Bigode or Bigodi, whatever you want to call it, I don't see how that helps, especially not selling into the West. Call it anything out, like wheels, things like names like Fast Wheel is a good name. Fast Wheel. I mean, we know what that is. But there we go. It doesn't immediately ring as like, oh wow, that's a suitable name. You have to go and find out what that actually means before you even move on. So they're just stuck with it. Gotway. Will you be stocking crash protection for wheels? Crash protection for wheels as in the wheel itself or for riding? Because if you mean riding, for the last year and a bit, we've stocked every bit of protection you can imagine pretty much. We've got all the pads, we've got all the helmets, everything. So happy Christmas, Ian. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's been a long day already and it's only 3:15. Happy Christmas, Ronnie. And happy birthday whenever it's your birthday. Also looking for 9-watt 1 charge port. Very unlikely to be able to get that now. But it's not bespoke, I don't think, to the 9-watt. The connection certainly isn't. If you're talking about a 9-watt 1E plus or CE, or you're talking about 9-watt Z10, let me know. But either way, it's definitely 9-watt 1E is not bespoke to 9-watt themselves. I think it's an old camera style plug. Do you stock any pedal upgrades for my MSP similar to your Spike KS pedals? The footplate upgrades, no, with the spikes. We got the ones for King Song in, it's the KS16X, and we got hardly any interest at all in them, which is a massive shame. We thought people wouldn't want to slip off the footplates. KS16X was a really well sold wheel and thought that people would just love them. But we haven't, at great expense, we got them in, haven't sold many, which is a bit of a shame really. So it's sort of got a bit burnt on those. So if you've got a 16X and you want spiked footplate tops, then check out speedyfeet.co.uk. Are all wheels going to be tending towards suspension in the future? I got asked this earlier today and I'm hoping not. It reminds me of the full suspension mountain bikes and the hardtail push bikes, is that actually it's quite nice to ride one or t'other or both. So with a wheel with no suspension, it remains firm and solid and it acts the same way pretty much all the time you're riding it. So there's no surprises. But with suspension, you can lean into a corner and hit a bump and obviously it compresses. So it's always dynamic. It's always changing with a suspension wheel. Whereas with a fixed unit, you know where it's at all times. And so it's kind of that tightness you get from one without suspension that you kind of lose with suspension. And obviously there's loads of gains with suspension in terms of comfort and not breaking your back when you hit something, etc., etc., being able to jump and all this sort of business. It all helps, but there's definitely pros and cons for each. I mean, at the moment you lose a lot of battery capacity typically with suspension because it's got to go somewhere, or ground clearance, you add weight, and so you've got all these things that pros and cons, swings and roundabouts, whatever you want to call it. Any expectations on a new veteran model? Nope, not as far as I know. So they got the Sherman, and the Sherman isn't changing because I did ask that the other day. It's basically the same. It works, doesn't it? The Sherman just works. It's really good. And haven't heard anything from Veteran. I did chase them up about the Sherman. Is anything changing with the Sherman model from Veteran? But they said no. So in terms of the Sherman, not that I've heard. So there we go. Any expectations? Nope, read that one. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, Leah. Is the car on charge? The car is not on charge. No. The Renault Zoe is sat outside, not on charge. The Honda E is at home with 76% charge on it. When's the next adventure long range video? 2,000 miler per chance. Well, that's an interesting one. That's kind of down to Mr. Worley. We have got a plan in the works for a long range ride for charity, ideally. I've already got a charity in mind. So, in mind. But it won't be 2,000 miles. No, it's more likely to be at least double that, if not more. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Mike, hi Ian, are you going to open up a location in the United States? Well, that's an interesting one. I've been thinking about retail stores, and it's something that's been chatted about very briefly as part of the move forward. Possibly, don't know yet. everything is very, very wobbly. So to invest in like a retail premises, a number one retail premises, is risky at best at this current time. So don't really know. At the moment, we've got fairly substantial warehousing in place, which is really expensive, which makes everything quite difficult when you're trying to compete with other people coming to the market, people to pay, staff to pay, etc., etc. But we plan to expand out next year, put it that way. In Bruce is dreaming, he's barking. Yeah, he's in the office. I can hear him barking in his dream. So other countries, yes, possible bridge out to other countries. But first of all, definitely have at least one retail premises here in the UK before we did that as a tester, where I can go and be there for any troubleshooting and stuff like that. So yeah, to start with, we'd test the waters, dip the toe as it were, with the UK premises prior to that. But yeah, there we go. Just got a Kingsong 18XL as a first wheel. So excited for this. What are the known faults that I should look forward to regarding repairs, etc.? The 18XL has been exceptional in terms of its performance. For us, kind of get a good picture of what works and what doesn't. So as I say earlier, if you've just joined, you'd have missed this, but you see a lot of faults of wheels online, but that doesn't typically represent what's happening across all ownership. It represents a very vocal area, not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. They're vocal because they want to get it resolved. A vocal group of people that tends to then end up naturally bunching together because they've got these problems with this wheel, and it congregates online. Now that's great for getting solutions, but it also gives a tainted view of something. It's not necessarily the way it is. And so with the KS18, you probably go online and find loads of problems, but actually across all of them, we've had very few problems. So you can get a battery issue. We've had it before, but like 2 or 3, I'm talking, out of all the ones we've sold, where one side won't charge. And so there's a battery fault, which actually is not the entire pack, of course. It's just a couple of cells or a cell within it that stops it. Battery management system stops it taking a charge. So you've got that. But I would say you've got no concerns. So if you're buying a brand new one and it hasn't been sat on the shelf for 12 months, for instance, you should be fine just out of the box to use it. No problems whatsoever. When they first came out, one of the things was the trolley handle, but that was resolved like whatever it is, a year and a half, 2 years ago. We've had no issues at all with them. In fact, the sales of the trolley handle replacements have gone down. So we were selling the aftermarket parts, the upgrade, and it was sold. We sold the strut kits and the trolley handle, and that's all gone down basically. So that kind of signals not only have we not had anybody with the issues with the trolley handle or batteries, etc. The sales of those replacement parts for those people that didn't buy a wheel from us and went elsewhere, and then subsequently had issues getting warranty replacements and things like that and wanted to buy the parts, that's gone down. So that tells you that the problem is less now. So it performs really well, and congratulations on buying one, and I hope it serves you really, really well. But they've done, like many other wheels, done really well so far. EUC Addict says the 18XL is a solid wheel, rode 3,600 miles with no issues. So there you go, you see. James says the 18XL is a phenomenal wheel. EUC Addict said he only sold it because I wanted the Monster Pro. Olaf says my 9,000 kilometre on the XL has been without significant issues. So there you go, you see, that kind of gives you the lowdown on it. Yeah, the wheel is fine, absolutely fine. You shouldn't have any real issues, so no significant issues. And so once we won't go back to normal straight away, but once Mario's back in, we'll get the filming on the Monster Pro and the EX done. Just want to let you know we've had these in for about a week, and that we've got to fit the batteries to them, and then we'll get out once we've got a chance to do some filming and set them up. My reservations with this one was the high pressure of the suspension. We'll see how it goes. Used to handling high pressure. We do air tanks on the paintball side of things, paintball and airsoft side. So we've got a compressor in the workshop that goes to 5,000 psi. So yeah, but we do also know the dangers of high pressure, and so having high pressure in a Gotway model led me to think not so sure. But I had already put an order in for these, and so one just turned up. I was like, oh, they've actually shipped it. I was going to wait and delay it out, but there we go. So it's here, so it's going to get tested, and we'll see how it goes. Have you tested the Veteran with a street wheel? I have not. I'm not going to fit a street wheel to my lovely Sherman. It just takes too much away takes too much away for my liking. With that tyre on it, it's just beautiful. I don't mind the noise it makes, and every other aspect I find it's spot on. So you probably have a slightly increased range, and it would handle or be quieter on the road. I find this works really well at low speed and at reasonable speed, shall we say. I find it works fine. So I'm not going to swap it out. It's only going to take away from the ride. So I ain't doing that, basically. Was there any differences? So I haven't tried it. I do know that Kuji did a video on it, and really from that thinking, nah, you're all right. I'll leave that. Almost 350 miles on my 16X. Malcontent Youth says. Congratulations. When did you get your 16X? That'll be my question. I'm just going to scroll back up and just check I haven't missed anybody out. I don't think I have. If I have, just ask the question again or make the statement again, and I'll do my best to answer it if it's there. So we've got, and I can't see it, electric unicycle sliders gliders says 3,000 on my 16X. Is that 3,000 miles or 3,000 kilometers? That's whichever way. That's a good significant amount, isn't it? Have you seen any of the US reviews of the Monster Pro or EX yet? No, I haven't. I don't tend to watch other reviews because I don't want it to bias me in any way, shape or form, really. I don't mind watching the marketing material, so the adverts that come out from them when they do come out. But I want to get it like a pure review of the wheel. So when I get on these, there's no subconscious bias in there. It's just get on it and see how it feels and report back. Usually we slam them and the mileage goes right down, and then we get complaints because they say, well, I get 100 million miles on a charge and you only got 10. And it's like, well, that's the minimum you're going to get. So you know by now how we test. So yeah, the RS, I say I haven't managed to stack many miles on it. I haven't really had the opportunity to do it, but I'm up to 750, 800 kilometers, something like that on it with no issues. That's the one that I'm testing at the moment. And it'll be these as well then, and also the Monster Pro, the Monster Gen 3 100 volt. I'm also testing at the same time. The Sherman's already been done and dusted. So yeah, that's going well. It's all good. In fact, John Worley, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, go and subscribe to it. He's got a bit of a video coming out, I think soon-ish, of him riding. In fact, my Sherman, which he had, this is supposed to be his Sherman, but because his was delayed massively, and because he's a good friend, he was put to the bottom of the pile of customers getting their Shermans when they first came out. So I sent him mine in the end, and I cried for a couple of days, so I didn't have my Sherman. And he used that, and he said, well, I might as well keep this. I was like, well, as long as you're happy with that. And so I've got this one, which I've now immediately muddied up. But I've got the mudguard fitted on it, so that's really, really good. The video review's on the channel if you want to go and see that. It's just a review of a mudguard. It's nothing special, but there's a few nice little shots in there of going through mud and things. So, yeah, his is done now. I don't know how many miles it's done. A lot of miles. Where have we got? S18 or V11 for city commutes. I would say V11. Bearing issue aside with that. We've had issues with the KSS 18s as well, so battery's not charging fully. But it's a small percentage over the amount sold, so no wheel is fault free, and it's frustrating sometimes when a load of flat goes to a certain wheel, and there's that amount of pressure you need for the manufacturers to sort of put in a change to make things better. But they are always rolling, so all the manufacturers are actually, of the wheels we sell, are actually trying to move forward with the development of it. And it does take a certain time of development. So like a brand new model, you sort over a year, everything should kind of be sorted. So a year from release, but you get these little niggles that come along when it's really down to mass production. So they can have a prototype, they can have 5 prototypes, they can test them all, they can keep adjusting them, getting them perfect. And then once you start mass producing, it starts going a little bit wonky. So like with InMotion, you've got they don't control that. They've got no quality control per se over the motors and the bearings that are used. And I presume the motor manufacturers haven't got control over the bearing that goes into them either. They have to push back to the people that manufacture the bearing that goes in their motors that they make, that they then sell on to InMotion and others. there's all these points in there that can go wrong, and people on the production lines just don't care. So they could be there, oh, I'm leaving in a week, screw that, I'm going to throw this bearing together. And then they end up with 500 bearings or whatever, that, you know, you get the picture. It's quite difficult. So with all those wheels, the S18 versus the V11, yeah, I got a flashing light up there. I wonder what that means. I think it probably means my battery's running out on the C100. Maybe. I don't know. Mario, come back. Have a look at that screen for me, see what it says. I've got this camera though set up, and that one's not flashing at me, so perhaps I should just use that one. I reckon that battery's running out on that C100, so you might be stuck with this view in a minute. So I would go V11 with the commute, pretty much. That's what I'd go with. I'd go V11. But that's just me. That's personal opinion. That's it. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, the S18 is terrible, don't use that. I'm just saying, for me, I'd go V11. It's all-arounder, nice big powerful wheel, great light on it, great height, sits really nice on your leg. Not only that, it's got the relevant waterproofing for rain, so you know, it kind of makes an all round, as in all year round commuting tool. But saying that, I just want to put a caveat on that, because things can be misconstrued completely, can't they? We ride the wheels, all wheels that we sell, we've ridden all of them in rain. Obviously, if it's absolutely lightning and stuff like that, and it's hacking it down, it's an 80-mile-an-hour gale, you probably wouldn't go out. It'd be a bit silly. You're asking for trouble. But we have ridden all wheels. When we did the 1,000-miler with the Gen 1 monsters, that you probably can't see because I'm crowded by all these new wheels. You know, we rode in rain then, and it was fine. But they're just not. A lot of the wheels aren't certified to ride in the rain. What should the air pressure? Rory says, what should the air pressure be for the V8? 15.5 stone. So I would start with 45, 45, and see what that feels like. You don't want it way too squidgy. So the lower you have the tire pressure, beyond a certain point, you can start to damage the inner tube. And so the inner tube will start to move slightly when you're riding. And so it reduces the life of the inner tube. And that movement causes friction, which wears down the inner tube. And so you kind of know that when you take a tire out. When we get wheels in for servicing and stuff like that, if you take out an inner tube and you've got loads of residue of rubber, little rubber droplets that come off, you know that that person's ridden that wheel pretty slow. Slow? Pretty slow. Pretty low. So the pressure's been really, really low at some point, and it's chafed the inner tube. So you've got the tyre and you've got the inner tube that moves inside and it chafes slightly. And so it just wears it down. And then you can get a puncture really easily, so it makes it thinner and thinner and thinner, and eventually it'll go. You can also damage the valve. So where the valve comes through, and it's usually at a 90 degree, you can actually slice that. As the inner tube moves, you can cut the valve off, therefore totally rendering the inner tube useless. You can't patch that up, but a puncture with a thorn you can patch up. So I'd start there and then just see how that feels. The more pressure's in there, the harder the ride and the more knife edge it is in turning left and right. And so you've got to take that into account. Have a little think and get used to it. I just ride it 40, 45, get used to it. If you're ever unsure on most tyres, on the sidewall of the tyre, you spin it round and eventually you will see, I wonder if I can spin this round without it falling off the thing. You can see, come on, don't fall off a stand. It will break a lot of stuff if it falls off a stand. It usually gives you a tyre pressure. It could be on either side. So will this one say? Will this one show me up? Probably. Bear with me. My head's disappeared now. I'm just trying to look, see if it says pressure. At the same time, trying not to throw it off a stand. Yes, so it does. So here, can I show you this, I wonder? Bear with. Can I show you this? So most tyres will have a tyre pressure on there written on the side. So for instance, this one says your max weight, but not only that, it says 32 PSI. So that's what you kind of be expecting to do. So yeah, it'll say on the tyre sidewall. So just check that, and then you'll be able to tell. So that's a question we get a lot: is what pressure should I put in my tyre? And first and foremost, go to the tyre. Now, you may be shocked sometimes to see the weight limit is below your weight. Now, it's typically because the manufacturer of the tyre is expecting to be split load. So if it's the size of a bicycle tyre or BMX tyre or whatever tyre you got on there, they're expecting to be split across. That's why sometimes you see I don't think any of these got on it. Sometimes it says on there like E tyre or something like that because they're expecting it to specifically put it on a unicycle. But the majority of them expect them to be split load across 2 axles. And so then they halve it. So when it says 70 kilograms max, they're expecting 140 max kind of thing. If that makes sense. Those you don't need to be too worried about, but the pressure, match the pressure, and then you can work back a little bit. Never overinflate because you've got a chance of damaging the tyre, but take it up to 40. I mean, 1 or 2 PSI isn't going to matter. Don't put 70 in a 40 PSI, you're going to ask for trouble. And very often they'll hold that pressure, but then as you're riding, if you jump off a curb or something, it might bang and they immediately pop. So there's no slow hissing as you roll to a start. You go bang, and then you've lost your tyre, you've lost the sidewall of the tyre, and you're very likely to come off. So don't overpressure them, and don't go massively low. Float around the figure they've got on the tyre sidewall, essentially. And then you should know. Are you planning on doing any more meetups sometimes in the new year? Yeah, so usually, of course, we would do our Winter Madness. That's what we usually do. That's kind of gone out the window now, isn't it, sadly? And in this terrible rain we've been having, that would be brilliant fun. For some, a nightmare for others. So definitely plan and do more ride outs. Absolutely. I mean, if you're not on there already, go to electricpeople.org. We have spats on there have been very, very active, and then some not. Kind of forget about it, and they're like, oh shoot, I haven't logged into Electric People for ages. But go on to electricpeople.org. It's a free platform for you. Hopefully you're still watching this. I got a warning from the YouTube dashboard saying you're not receiving enough bandwidth to maintain smooth viewing. So let me know if it's not working. But pop over to electricpeople.org and join up there, post videos, photos and stuff like that. It costs us 100 quid a month to host that. So 1,200 quid a year. So £1,200 a year is spent on that site. And so we need activity on there. There are quite a few active members on there. Just, yeah, pop over, check it out. It's a bit more cumbersome than Facebook, but it is what it is. Let's have another look. It says, I think, and just let me know you're still online, because I'm not sure this is still working. I'm going to carry on like it is working. Oh, it says excellent connection now. I think we're back up. James says, are you going to be testing the Bigodi XN? The EXN? Is the EXN the same as the EX here? Let me know. I've also now got to plug in a cable to keep you on the live stream, because one camera's gone. So I'll unplug that now. I'll plug the other thing in at the same time to try and keep you on. Such is the one-man band. That goes there. This camera's dead. Let's turn this link off. Bear with me. I haven't disappeared completely. Right. Oh, and by the way, Ivan made me this t-shirt. So can you see that? It says Speedy Feet. And I haven't had a chance yet to wear it. Can I turn around in this tight space? There we go. It says, can I get down low enough? Eat my dust on the back. Ivan sent that in. It was a lovely little present. I like getting presents. Damaging all the light units. I love getting presents. Thank you very much for sending that in, by the way. But this is the first time I've ever had a live feed. So, yeah. Let's go back up. Bear with me. Do you miss the Mini Pro? The Mini Pro, yeah, so we used to sell the Mini Pros. I've got one in still, and it's got off-road tyres on it. Yep, it has. And the kids use it every now and again when they're in the warehouse. When they come to Daddy's work, as it's known, they jump on that. And they have a ride round on it. Did you see that video of the Tesla employee that built his own EUC? No, I haven't seen that. Link it. Link it up. Put it in there. Be interested in that. If you were going to make your own perfect wheel, taking specific features from a selection of different wheels, what would be your picks? Oh, what an interesting question. Okay, let's have a little think. So I would want a large wheel. That's why I'm quite looking forward to riding this one. That is super chunky tyre on that bad boy. But anyway, so I want range, essentially. What my favourite thing is being able to go out and not worry about having to charge up. And so the more range I can have, the better. So my perfect wheel would be with like solid state batteries where they are much lighter. So when that technology comes, it'll be brilliant. What would be really good is to be able to do like 150, 200 miles range on a single charge, and then have 2 charge ports, 3 charge ports, whatever, to be able to charge at such a high rate that you can sit down, have a meal at a pub, and then you're 50% charge or 100% charge, whatever, that sort of thing. I mean, we're talking dreams here, aren't we? Good lights on it, but with a dip beam, either with a remote control you can press that you hook onto your glove, you can press it, or auto dip beam, why not? Cars do it. So, and an adjustable beam, so when you're going uphill, it actually reflects the incline you're going up, and then with that dip beam, so combined, so you don't blind anyone. So I'd have that. Electronically adjustable ride height would be good. So it's got little motors that rise up the footplate pillars, which run down off the axle of the motor, run down here. But the whole thing, it can go up and down, so it's adjustable ride height, and even make it intelligent enough to adjust the ride height based on your conditions and the way you're riding, so speed. So it can lower or higher depending on how fast you're going or how bumpy the terrain is. So it just auto adjusts. So you can be whipping it along the road, nice and smooth, head into a trail, and it recognises that you're doing this a lot. And so it'll lift up knowing that you're basically off-road. So just lift up a few mil. That would be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? Yeah, so there we go. There's some ideas for you. If I was dreaming, that would be it. I think weight is kind of an issue, but I don't carry them that much. I have to carry it to the warehouse because we're up a flight of stairs. And so that's going to be a bit annoying. Like, this is going to be ridiculous. But the bigger it is, the easier it is to hold it down by your side and push against it and go up the steps. So the Monster, I very rarely actually pick that fully up. It's on. And it's made more annoying with the trolley handle cutoff switch underneath. So when you pick it up, it goes beep and shuts the motor off. I actually like the old Monster where I could still pick it up, take some of the weight off and just push it against the steps and it climbs up the steps with you. And so this will do the same with this big tyre, although it's quite a road tyre. I'm interested to see how this tyre goes because this is quite a slick tyre. It's got square cutouts on it, essentially. Well, not square, oblong cutouts that I can easily see being filled with mud quite quickly. Not that it's supposed to be this amazing off-road machine. It's supposed to be a bit of a road, king of the road, isn't it? But we'll see how that goes. So yeah, there we go. There's some ideas. You should do more of these lives. I would love to, Leo. I'm probably going to try and do some more now it's set up. I'm going to leave this set up. So there's a lot of equipment here that's running to a hub and control center that I got here. Usually Mario will be doing it and then I can concentrate on what I'm doing here. I've got it all here. So we've got different camera angles, except for my camera's gone dead. That would usually be covered off by someone working in the background. But to plug it in, make sure it's all okay, and swap charge over and stuff like that. So yeah, there's actually camera link systems. If you want to know how this works, you've got camera link systems sat on top of Canon C100 Mark IIs. Got 2 of those, 2 cam link systems sat on top. That's 4 battery you've got to manage, 4 batteries you've got to manage. HDMI out, clean HDMI outs to both. And they route back round and go into where the office is. And in there, there's a hub that receives these cam links. And also the mobile phone is attached to that link as well. That then runs up to the iPad. This iPad then connects to the cloud. The cloud within this connects to a Restream that then pushes that out to 2 platforms. So yeah, a lot to go wrong as you've seen today. I've already tried one live. So there we go. So yeah, we'll try to. Yeah, love it when I can catch a live stream. Do you see a V11F with more batteries? Yeah, I mean, again, it's 1500 watt hours. We're all getting used to these long range EUCs, and it's incredible to think that when all this started, when we started back early 2014, we were the first people to bring one in. It was a 9 watt one, the little 9 watt ones, which I don't think you can see anymore because the camera has gone dead. But there's a 9 watt one sat there, has been for years. It's one I want to keep. It's one of the original ones. It's actually not the original, it's called the Gen 2 because it's got white side pads. The original used to have grey. You're talking 450 watt hours and it went up to 500 watt hours of battery pack. They were originally 240 watt hours. So I had a very early generation in when they were only really available in China. And they'd had them out there for about 12 months at that point. And we got that in 240 watt hours. And the battery was so thin that it was packed full of foam to stop it rattling around. And that would do about 4 miles. Things have changed considerably. So those motors originally were 350 watt motors, I think. And then it went 450, 500 watt. And now we're at 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 watt motors. Sherman, 3,200 watt hours. So 3,000 more watt hours in this than the original 9-watt one. So it's come a long, long way. And so my point is, with the V11, like we're saying that for a V11F, where's that? Because 1,500 watt, only 1,500 watt hours in this. And there's the rub, isn't it? So you basically get bigger and bigger batteries, and then you get more and more weight. And then, yeah, I don't want to sacrifice. I'd rather have a heavy wheel that went a long way than a light wheel that doesn't go very far. Predominantly, I'm riding, because I just love riding electric unicycles. And so I end up going out for long distances. And so summer, for instance, I will go out for a ride early morning and enjoy that beautiful smell of the morning breaking, the birds singing, everything like that. Isn't it amazing? It's just amazing. And you go out riding around, get back home, and then a mate might call, Pete might be like, let's go out. And I'm like, oh shoot, I've just been out for a 25 miler and you're not ready to go again. Whereas with a long, like Sherman, that's fine. Get back home, stick it on charge for an hour, 5 amp plus a 5 amp, or 5 amp plus a 3 amp is how I charge it. You're back up and running in no time. So that battery is great. For weight, forget it, you're not carrying it anywhere. So yeah, there we go. Can you remove, just have a look. What's the best practical joke played on Mr. Wally? Lots of jokes on Mr. Wally. I feel sorry for him. Can I part my ex-MSP I bought from you 5 months ago for a Sherman? You can't do a straight swap, but if you type in Speedy Feet guaranteed buyback scheme, you'll see how that actually works. And on there, and it's not mega money. We've done a whole videos on this. I'm not gonna go back through it, but basically you'll see the video. I think the video might be on that page explaining how we came to that figure. We do it for 25% guaranteed buyback. Go and have a look at it. Speedy Feet. If you buy from Speedy Feet, we guarantee to buy your wheel back. So yeah, and there's a short list of requirements there. If you set it on fire, thrown it off a cliff, you can't then just return it back. But we do that. What's the best practical joke? I'm trying to think of jokes that I played on him. It's mainly just laughing at him. That's pretty much it, really. The joke is created himself, by himself, and then I laugh at it. Can you remove a wheel buckle? Wow, this has jumped. Bear with me. Can you remove a wheel buckle on a Z10? A buckle wheel. Is it truly buckled? That's what you need to know. Is it actually buckled, or have you just dented the outside of the rim? So a buckle would be something different, wouldn't it? Where the axle sits through the centre, and between top and bottom, you've got a slant. And so it goes like that when you're riding. If you can see that, if it does that. When you're riding, never look at a tyre. So this is another thing. We did a video on this. A lot of people look at the outside edge of their tyre and they stand up on a stand like this and spin it, and they'll see it going whoop like that. You'd be like, oh no, I've got a buckled wheel. It's buckled. It's brand new and it's buckled. But it basically, we've never had a buckled motor from new. It's just the tyre moulding on the very outer edge of the tyre is waving as you go around. And very often you just need to deflate the tyre and squish it all the way around and re-inflate it and it'll seat correctly. There's that. But a buckle, but you can also get a dent. So where the motor folds over and where the inner tube sits, you can get a buckle in that. So that could be pushed out, if you're talking about buckle there, dented essentially. And with that, you can usually get a wooden mallet and tap it back in. Now don't just hold it free hand and just smack it like that, because you're putting loads of shock through the axle and up through the whole device. So you actually really want to hold it nice and tightly, get a mate to help, and make sure it's still and you're taking the weight as it hits, because what you're trying to do is just bend that metal back in. Now it's going to be weaker. So I've seen shots before, people have had massive crashes where they've taken the motor off, and down the very centre of the motor around the rim, so down the centre, it's actually split open. That's a write-off. You can't reuse that. So if you've lost a chunk out of it, you need a new motor. Let's just say that. I notice when I live stream, I use YouTube channel. It sometimes goes from excellent to no data and back, but the stream is usually fine. Sweet. Oh, EXN with no suspension. Okay. The EX with no suspension. What's the point in the EX then? At that point, with no suspension. Trying to think now, the benefits. You got a nice big chunky wheel, I suppose, more powerful motor. Yeah, interesting. I'll consider that whilst I'm reviewing this one. See whether it would be on our comment on the video, or whether I think one without suspension would be beneficial. Hi, I bought a Ninebot from you back in 2014. Wow, got to be one of our oldest customers. But end up never using it. Is it possible to sell it back to you guys? No, it isn't. So if you look at the buyback, guaranteed buyback scheme, it's got a date in there of when that scheme started. And we did an amnesty, is it an amnesty? Where we allowed people then to send their wheels in, which they did. We rolled it back, I think, 3 months, just to be kind, really. But you have to set a start point at some point, don't you? There was no scheme at the point in time when you bought that. In true InMotion tradition for you, think there will be a V11F? Very likely, I would have thought. I haven't heard anything, so yeah. James, I don't think he's saying can he return it because he wants money back for warranty. I think he's just saying can he do a trade-in, which is what I'm assuming what he's saying. Bought something in 2014. He basically wants to sell it back. But the issue with a wheel that old is the battery, and the battery size that small, is that it's probably not going to be best condition. So yeah. Dave Wood has posted the Tesla EUC. Thank you very much. Oh, it just says error. Try again when I try and allow it. That's annoying, isn't it? Oh, well, I'll grab that and copy that link you sent me. Thank you for sending it, but I can't make it public. I can see it. Okay, yeah, I'll keep that. I won't load it in case it slows the stream down, but there we are. Yeah, there we go. See, he's trying to say he wants to sell it back as a second-hand wheel. You're better off, definitely better off trying to sell that second-hand. So get onto electricpeople.org and just list it for 150 quid, something like that, 200 quid. That's the sort of money at most you're going to get for it. I think we sold a brand new one, never used, in a box. The battery was dead as a dodo. We found it in the warehouse. I think we sold that for 150 quid, something like that. I can't quite remember. Duff says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Duff. Good to see you on. I miss riding at the moment. Unfortunate for me, I fractured my heel when my unicycle trapped my foot. Got told I could be out for 4 months. Oh no, and he'd done 8,000 kilometers. Well done. 8,000. Not well done on hurting your foot, but well done on the 8,000. So yeah, flip me, that's good. Good mileage, and sorry to hear of your injury. Heal up soon. Rob Hitch is on. Hello, Rob, if I haven't said hello to you already. Apologies. So let me try and show another link. No, I can't. So the people that are posting links, I can see them, but they're not public. It says show or hide. If I click show, YouTube Studio very helpfully says error, try again. Oh, it's jumped. Hello man, says Omadel. Where have you been? I missed your expertise on EUCs. I've been sleeping. I'm like a bear. I sleep during winter. I've got up to do this one live stream. No, just we haven't been able to do it. With Mario not being in and loads of other stuff going on, everything's been compressed. So spread thin is probably the answer on that one. Do you think there would ever be an EUC that could be manufactured outside of China? Yeah, well, the UK did have one, didn't it? If you all remember back in 2015 probably, or 16. What on earth was it called? Someone will know. Someone will know. I've forgotten what it's called. Now, Uniwheel? Was it Uniwheel? I think it probably was Uniwheel. It never went anywhere. There was Russian backers on it. I know that much. And then it didn't go anywhere. So if you have good connections with different manufacturers of wheels, could you please ask them to also spend time on the software and associated apps? Do I have good connections? I've got connections. Would I say they're good connections? And I've got direct connections with the manufacturers because we spend a lot of money with them. But do they listen to us? No. Not on the whole, I wouldn't have said. And do they send us free wheels to test? They do not. It's actually a common misconception, believe it or not, that people think that we get given like a Monster Pro to go and test. No, we pay for it, pay good money for it. In fact, this costs more than it usually would because we want to bring a review to you guys. We actually pay more to air freight them across to get them in to do the reviews. That is the sad truth of it, is you'd think for the exposure, they would send one across and say, there you go, try it out, see how it's going, just report back any bugs, any issues. They don't. They do not, to my surprise. Since 2014, I have been waiting to be sent a wheel, and I have never been sent one. So there you go. Cost money. No food on the table for my children. Cost money. No food on the table for my children. So, yeah, the more they sit around, like that now, where we are now, we've got these two wheels sat around for a week or two. They've not produced any content at all, apart from an Instagram post. Yeah. And so there's no content on them yet. So we're just waiting to get the batteries in and put the foot plates on them, get Mario back and do some filming and get some content up. So there we go. But if they would listen, yeah, I would. But all the apps across all the wheels aren't that great. And the actual truth is it costs a lot of money to produce a good app. A good app. Segway is probably one of the best out there in terms of robustness and the way it works. It seems to be sort of vaguely okay. That's pretty much the best. So, yeah. Any chance of a Speedy Feet beanie hat for winter? Happy Christmas, Ian. Happy Christmas to you as well. Did you email in, or are you the second person that's mentioned having a beanie hat? Possibly. Ian, the hollow motor bearing issues with the V11 Gotway seem to be very prevalent, but last time you talked about it, you mentioned you have not had any hollow motor bearings failures with customers. That's right. So the V11, we've had, so in reference to the Gotways, we've had no bearing issues, if you want to call them Gotway. The V11, we've now got 5 in total. So is that still the case, you've asked? So Gotway, no issues so far. And the V11, oh, sound's gone, is it? Am I back on the sound? Audio. Yeah, I'm back on the sound. I think it's because the alarm went off, the sound went. So you're the same customer, Mrs. Wheels. Yeah, same customer. Yeah, I'll have to make you a beanie then, and then get that done. So yeah, so that's where I am right now, Duff. With that, I think it's 5, basically 5 issues with motors. So what manufacturer has the best software? That would be Segway, basically, in terms of app software, not firmware on the wheels. Hope that makes sense. Hello, I often watch your videos when I come to Taiwan. I presume you're in Taiwan. Hello from Taiwan, if you're still there, to Taiwan. What's the ideal middle wheel between the M10-3 and the MSP? So you're looking at probably, if you're talking true middle, an MCM5 is probably what you're looking at, or I would say the KS16X is, you're round about that mark kind of thing. You've got a lot of torque, like the MCM5, if I can get my words out correctly. It's got a huge amount of torque, 1500 watt motor, really, really good. And you're still keeping it quite small and light with that. That's kind of where I would be at. It's a 14-inch wheel. Not ideal for doing off-road, as Mario will attest to when he came out filming with us on a off-road thing we did. So yeah, so that's where I'd probably go if you had the budget and you wanted to do a set of 3 wheels. That's kind of what I would do. MSP, MCM5, M10-3 seems like a good combo. Or what's the combo? A triplet seems like a good triplet. Any issues with V11 motor stroke bearings in future would all be covered by the 2-year warranty. Absolutely. That's how we work. I say getting parts and stuff, it's been a nightmare. There's not a lot we can control over that. With getting stuff in, it's like just really, really difficult. We keep chasing the shipping agents and things like that, but there has genuinely been a complete screw up because of all the lockdowns. Everything's backed up. They've got hundreds of thousands of containers all over the place, all getting backlogged up basically, and it's really difficult for them to shift that huge backlog. So yeah, that's just the way it is. It's a bit of a pain, but yeah, absolutely, we won't screw anyone over ultimately. Sometimes it can just take weeks, months to sort things out, but if we have stuff sat on the shelf, it gets sorted straight away. So we got loads of parts. As you go to our store, you see on there, we've got loads of parts. Anything it's showing is add to car is in stock. And so we got, I don't know what we got, probably getting on for 1,000 parts all sat on the warehouse shelf. So And with a V11 bearing failure, do they send you a new motor or a new bearing set? So we have been pushing for, at quite expense, of replacement motors. So yeah, and in fact, one of those motors we got sent got damaged in transit. So we waited 2 months for the flipping thing to come in, and guess what? It arrived bent. Brilliant. This, is part of this, the things you don't see with running businesses, and any of you own your own business out there, this sort of stuff that people don't even see. Yeah, not moaning, it's part of it. It's just, yeah, it does happen. Stuff happens, doesn't it? On top of COVID, you also get Brexit. Yay! And they're really leading the charge on that one. How many wheels are sold per year in the UK market, or how many wheels sell per year? Well, I've no idea across all of them. Wouldn't even like to guess. V8F, 280 miles. This is old retired dude. He's got a V8F, 280 miles since June 20. Happy holidays. Congratulations on your V8F and your 280 miles. Kirk says, I love the V11, but I have gotten 3 with bad boards. Wow. So no, we've never had a replacement board for a V11. That is interesting. Again, this stuff happens. Now I have the S18 instead of the V11. That's Kirk. Interesting. Thank you very much for that. That's interesting. Be nice to know, especially if you've had 3. I mean, having 1 faulty board makes you think it was the motor that was tripping out the board, but interesting. Having 3 seems very, very unlikely, as in, not that you're lying, but as in, surely there was something else at play there, batteries or motor, that were tripping the board out. Difficult to tell, isn't it? You've done over 800 miles in 1 month, presumably on the S18, I'm guessing. Sweet. Very, very good, if that's the case. 800 miles in 1 month. Flip me, that's... what's 800 divided by 30? Well, I suppose not too bad. 27 miles a day. Happy holidays, Ian, says Real Talk. Happy holidays to you too. Oh, gonna try and cross my legs. There we are. Try and sit comfortably on the S18. Love it. That is brilliant. Well, I'm glad you found the wheel that you love and you're happy riding it. You obviously are, with 800 miles on it in 1 month. And that's the important thing. It's like landing on the right wheel that suits you, and that's why you see a lot of owners, they have 3 wheels or 2 wheels or 5 wheels or 10 wheels, is because there's always a wheel for a slightly different occasion. Like this will be a lovely one for thumping along the roads. For flicking down little trails and stuff, that isn't going to be the one. And so you want another wheel. So you end up having a few, especially if you've got a lot of places to ride. Like round here, really blessed to have all the different terrains wrapped into one area. And so I can access roads, I can access fire trails, so just a very thin, fine gravel, compacted gravel. And then I can access really tight and technical routed trails if I really want to. It's just epic, really. What EUC would handle the best in snow? I would probably say Sherman, except from with snow, typically your foot plates will dig in. And so you can adapt any wheel, but we wouldn't want to do it in the UK because we don't have enough snow. But you can spike the tyres, so you can buy spike kits. Schwalbe do them, and basically you take the tyre off and you push them through, and they stick out, and then you can ride in snow a lot more. So really, it's down to the tyre, but of course the impact's made on foot plate height and weight of machine. So you want the tyre to dig in. So fairly heavy with spikes is kind of the optimum with high foot plates. But yeah, there's not always the perfect wheel for that. I've been waiting for the new Gotway Monster Pro to be released. I've seen a few videos in recent weeks and what I'm hearing isn't very positive. Oh, that's a shame. Are you going to review the wheel? Any thoughts? Absolutely am. Sat here. Once the batteries are fitted and the foot plates are fitted and Mario's back and we find space to do it, we'll do it. The audio's gone there. Probably. That's Amy trying to ring, the wife, trying to do the usual trick of ringing during a live feed, but it will kill my audio, so don't ring. Because I've got a microphone coming off the iPhone because the microphone batteries are dead because it's been in a thing for so long. I found the lack of a strobe function was bad for the V11. I found the lack of a strobe function was bad for the V11. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Sorry. How big is too big for an EUC? Well, I'm not sure. That is an interesting question. This is a step for me, and to pique my interest. A 24-inch wheel is the right direction. I would love to see a 36-inch wheel. just to see what it's like to ride. I just think it would be really, especially if you put a seat on it, talk about our challenges. It, you know, they did 1,000 miler, doing more miles, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it? Massive body on it, loads of batteries everywhere. You could have charge ports all over the place. So each of the battery packs have a charge port fitted. 12 batteries in it and 12 charge ports and whatever. So yeah. So how big is too big? Difficult to say, but there we go. Penny farthing special. That's exactly right. Yeah. Why would you want a strobe function on it? Curve areas are well on bike lanes, twilight is a killer, front and back lights. I see. Just strobing means just strobing as in the light flickering. Yeah. Yeah. Each their own. But put a motor on Ed Pratt's wheel. Yeah, so if you haven't watched Ed Pratt, go and find Ed Pratt. If you haven't heard of him, he cycled round the world, literally cycled, not cheating like we do. He rode all the way around the world on not an electric unicycle, on a unicycle. In fact, we have had him ride one of our unicycles. We have. You are saying, no way, not the Ed Pratt. But yes, we have. We got a video of him. Mike met him and he had to go on a V8, I think. He went on a V8 or could be in a V10. Could you put like a bike frame on 2 EUCs and ride it like a motorbike? I think and believe you could. So you'd have to mess around a little bit, but I was thinking that the handlebars could move that way with a hinge system, so you can go forward and back by braking. So you push forward to accelerate and you pull back to slow it down. See, have I even thought of that? How crazy is that? But you kind of could. The back one, though, is the problem with that. So you'd almost have to have both linked together. So as you push the handlebars, the whole frame leaned like that. You see what I'm saying? So it does that and goes back. So you use your feet to kind of put pressure for the back one to go forward. At the same time, they're linked. So you could accelerate and brake. You can try it. You develop it and let me know. Sorry if someone's already asked this. Missed it. J Smooth, 1967, was going to ask a question and he retracted it as he asked it. Is that because he's found the answer already? You tell me. So we've got an image. I'm going to try and show it, but it just says error. There's something wrong with YouTube. I'm sorry. What I'll do, though, to be fair, is I'll check what that is, what that image is, and I will post it myself in the comments, if that's possible. Yeah, got it. It seems to be a picture of little boxes. I'm assuming that's right. Is that all the wheels you own? It could be. Okay. Thank you very much, Real Talk, for the donation. Any insider hints of future offerings from Veteran and In Emotion in 2021? If so, will there be more speed and range to look forward to? I would have said if there's going to be another wheel, it's almost definitely going to be more speed and range. Both those things, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's likely to be more speed and more range. The biggest thing from the community is pushing for more speed and more range. And so the manufacturers tend to go that direction. But we need to see a development really in battery technology, don't we? At that point, we will be able to go, oh, wow, and stuff more in there and get more range. I think the more speed is going to be a bad thing. I don't mind having that clearance. So if you bring out a wheel that's restricted to whatever, some safe speed, but is actually capable of doing twice that, then you're very rarely going to ever have a cutout, which is kind of where we are now. These wheels have become so reliable. I know there's niggly things like the bearings and things like that, but on the whole, they've become so reliable that mainly the cause of it is because the batteries have got so big. So not relying on a single pack with a single connection now. You've got multiple connections going in. So if a battery pack has a jitter, it's okay because it's picked up by the other battery pack. So you get less, or basically none now. You don't really get any cutouts at all from battery packs, whereas you used to. So the 9.1E, if you had a failed battery, you can be riding it. You put too much force on it, too much power, and the battery voltage drops and the machine cuts off. You don't get that now. The same with the boards. The boards have got bigger and beefier to cope with the bigger motors. And so with those, same thing, basically. You don't get cutouts, hardly ever get board cutouts, as in the usual cutouts that you used to get. So we used to be swapping boards out all the time. So that's the way it used to be. We used to swap boards out specifically on 9.1s. I've got a box full of them. I've still got it. I've kept them all there as a memento. I've probably got 120 boards, something like that. They're all stacked up, and they're all ones that individually we have swapped out for customers under warranty. So we know a little bit about that. A little bit about warranty and repairing. But that has faded out completely. So just don't get that. Yeah, we have the occasional board that goes. We just don't get that level anymore. So there we go. Thanks Kirk. And it says, thanks for the UK riding info. You're very welcome. Thank you very much. And let's have a little look. Kirk says he had 3 bad V11s. That's what your picture's of. Okay, got you. Yeah, that makes sense. J Smooth 1967. So what's your current favourite wheel? I bought an MSX based on your advice and I love it. Well, I'm glad that the advice worked well for you. One of my pet things is if anyone ever rings and says, I want this wheel. We got a guy rung up the other day. He's pre-ordered a V11. V11s, we're having trouble getting them in, as in we're having trouble getting everything in, not just V11s. He's been very, very patient, as a lot of our customers are. We thank you for that. But he wanted to swap it out for something in stock. And from a business point of view, yeah, you just swap that V11 out, chuck him something else, say, there you go, you're all sorted, boom, same value, all done, dusted. But I'm not happy with that because I actually want people to enjoy riding electric unicycles. I want to choose actually the right one for them. So after a 45-minute conversation, we kind of said, look, just stick with the V11. I think the V11 is going to be best for you. I think you chose the right way. You asked questions before you landed on that one. Let's not rush it just because you're waiting. And we had a MCM5 still here, the one we've got that we use for the 1,000-kilometre review. We've been lending that out every time we can. And so we sent him that so we can use it during the Christmas period, practice on it and get used to it. So it's really important that you get the right wheel. So when you see people saying, thank you very much, I've got this MXX and I absolutely love it, that's spot on. Because what's worse is just a seller, if we were just selling electric unicycles, just throw in any wheel to try and shift stock of stuff you want to get rid of, etc., etc. What's the point? What is the point? You're just not going to enjoy it. You're not going to be riding it for years, and it just kills off a potential rider for the community, and it's like that's just really annoying. And so typically my response will be, well, you're basically better off having your money back rather than switching out, or just wait. And if you can't wait, then have your money back. But please don't go and buy just something just to fill that void. Unless they want to switch, they want to say, oh, I'll keep the V11 order, but I'll have an M10-3 because I'd like to have a bit of a laugh. Then that's a bit different, isn't it? But saying I want to swap it out and replace it with this, you need to make sure you're on the right wheel. So getting the right wheel first time round is really important. Now, some people, the route to that is different. They'll get a small wheel to start with, not necessarily an M10-3, but they get a V8F. They'll ride that for 6 months, knowing that even though they spent that money, they're also then going to spend another 2.5, 3 grand and get I was going to say proper, but a bigger wheel that will more suit their needs. So some people try the V8F, they'll run with it and they'll keep it for a couple of years. So the V8s, we've sold people the V8s, still ride V8s. The V8Fs come out to replace that if you don't know. And they absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And so you've got that aspect. They'll use it as a stepping stone, or some people buy that because it's the right wheel for them. So it just depends on your budget. But get on the right wheel to start with. Spend time. If it takes you 3 weeks of solid research, find out and then give us a call. Give us an email and say, look, this is where I'm at right now. Is this right? And you'll get an honest answer. Chris, thank you very much for your donation. I loved your content, brother. Thanks for all your hard work. No problem. Thank you very much, Chris. That is very much appreciated. Go some way to funding.electricpeople.org, which is quite good. Robert says, thanks, Kirk, for the info. I'm staying away from the V11 for the time being. I've had one friend's bearing go bad and one bad board. So he's got a couple of reports of bad boards out there. I can't report that back. We haven't had that, but it's interesting to hear, that's for sure. Kirk saying, third, would not connect to any app, could not figure it at all, could not get it out of the setup. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a bit of a, well, they call them a lemon, don't they? On a Friday car, I think is one of the things. When it's a Friday, end of a Friday, people are trying to go home, they rush things. Oh, Michael King. Haven't seen that name for a while. About to do an off-road ride with my local group. Not sure to use RS High Speed or KS18L. I haven't rode the King Song since I got my RS. How many miles is on your RS, Michael? Robert says they loved their V11s initially, but both have picked the Shermans up now. So Sherman, you're talking about your power, your speed, and your battery life. That's the thing. I'm going to try, Leo, to share that link. I can't share it. I'll copy and paste it in and at Critical Pixel for you. Here we go. Punching it in now. Problem with YouTube, there's loads of you sending links and stuff in. I'm trying to share them manually because if I say show, it doesn't show them. Kirk says, I love suspension. And Kirk also says, I have a KS18L. Love it, but the S18 is suspension. I think you mean is wonderful. There you go, look. Old retired dude says, the VAF is large enough to be useful after the learning period is over. Exactly right. So it fits that thing where it's not a throwaway wheel. It's not a cheap thing. It's actually a really well-made wheel, and the VAF is a really nice wheel. In fact, we're still using the one here. Haven't finished doing the review on it yet, but I use it. I use it to go and fill up the kettle. So I get on it from my office, and right by my desk, get on it, and I ride round. I bomb down the corridor, and I go and fill up the kettle, and I come back again. It's on charge now. In fact, put it on charge before this live stream. How about the idea of a basic strong learner wheel, i.e. similar to an MSX medium-sized battery for lighter weight, no RGB and speakers, etc. for price and simplicity, and a strong case for all the fools. So I think, you know what, the Sherman, they were talking about making a lower battery version for that, and battery is a lot of the cost. It's about around 50% of the cost of a wheel is a battery. So that's predominantly why the bigger wheels are a lot more expensive, is because they're packed full of battery, and that's kind of what you pay for. So they're expensive to bring in, to import batteries, and they're expensive to make, expensive to manufacture, etc., etc. But the Sherman, a mini Sherman, imagine taking that and scaling it down 30%. Is there a market for that? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. That would be a cute little wheel. Be a funny thing, wouldn't it? I would like to see a 10-inch Sherman. That'd be brilliant. Exactly the same, but scaled down. Picture it. Maybe 200. You've done 200 miles, Michael King says. Been busy with Christmas stuff. Been a solid wheel for sure. Rory says, I do own an e-bike and an e-scooter and just got my unicycle. Have you ridden an e-bike or scooter, and what do you think of them? I have got a Cube Stereo 160 hybrid full suspension mountain bike. That's an e-bike, Bosch motor. I think it is brilliant. Now, funny thing is, with those, not only are they really expensive, they're very unreliable in terms of the components, because they use bicycle components, essentially. And the flipping problem I've had with the chain on it, etc., is just mind-bendingly annoying. Every time I go out, I have some sort of issue. And so when we have issues with our wheels and stuff, I'm like, it's not just wheels, it's flipping everything. So you get Bosch themselves, and then you get SRAM components, and still get issues. Sort of doesn't seem to matter, does it? Wherever you go, you got these teething things. So I had to swap out the chain the other day. I've done that now, and now the gears, they're under pressure, they jump. So I might need to change the cassette on it. But ignoring that little tirade, riding it is epic. I would not go out into the woods and do mountain biking if it was a normal mountain bike. Going on that is just beautiful. So you can go down these real difficult trails. They've got big 29er wheels on it. Go down the trails, and then you just bomb back up again. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Love it. Absolutely amazing. I've tried skateboards and all sorts, loads of different things. Scooters, obviously we used to sell scooters. We are going to get the InMotion L9 in. They've been inbound for the last 2 months, still haven't come in. Same problem with imports. We've got them coming in. And so we will be selling the L9. What wheel after V5? My missus needs an upgrade. Then if she's on V5, you need to really let me know whether she wants massive more range, massive more power. If she doesn't, then she can just hop up to the V8F or the V10F. So V8F or V10F. V10F will probably be fine for her. I don't know her height or her weight, but she could jump to the V8F and she'll have considerable more power from that point of view. So nice and small, but real torquey. So 1,000-watt motor in that. Might be the route to go, but if you want to email in the details, I can do that. We've also got which unicycle should I choose? I think it's the title of our video. It goes through everything. It's a boring video, but goes through everything that you might want to consider when buying a wheel and upgrading. So go and have a look at that. Then come back to us by email and just go, yeah, this is the range. This is blah, blah, blah. Answer all the questions in that video. Punch it in an email. Send it across to us. And I can tell you which best wheel to get for you. Has anyone tried the KS16 XS? Leo says. KS16XS. I don't know what that is. Didn't realise there was a live feed. Hello, Del Meek. I went from, so Critical Pixel says, I went from an e-board, flex e-board, to a one-wheel pint, now going to EUC for one reason: range. Can't stand that range anxiety. That's exactly right. You're not having the best experience, but yeah, EUC is the way forward on almost everything, to be fair. It can go up curbs, it can drop off steep inclines, it can do everything. It can go on-road, off-road. It's just great. Just love them. They're brilliant. Here is a nice observation from a pilot, says Kirk. I was a helicopter pilot in the military and I fly planes today. But riding the wheel is the closest feeling to flying I've ever experienced. And I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly, I feel like I'm floating is how I usually say it. Now, I'm not sure about other countries, but in the UK, you have hedgerows, which I expect other countries have got hedgerows, but it's quite a prominent thing in countries, in the countryside around here. And you've got pavements, footpaths, along those, and you've got the hedgerows, and your head's just like this, and you float along. And very often the people are sat in their gardens, you go, oh yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant fun. They're like, what the heck? Because you go much faster than walking or running. You see them jump out their chairs and have a look. Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you very much, Robert, for the donation, for everything you do for the PEV community. With pleasure. Michael says, Leo, we have a 16XS, same as 16X, but smaller battery. Oh, okay. So a smaller battery. I didn't even realise there was one. So if it's the same wheel with a smaller battery, we won't necessarily buy it in. So we tend to buy, if there's a model out with multiple different battery sizes, we just buy the biggest battery, because predominantly that's what people want. And what we don't want is, we got stung, like with the MCM4s, we got stung with the different battery versions, and everyone just went for the biggest battery version, stuck with the smaller batteries. So, yeah. Okay, so 740, so it's half the battery size, yeah. Okay, makes sense. I also feel like a bit like a superhero when riding a wheel. It's great. You can get on something like the Sherman, and presumably these two as well. You get on it, whoosh, and you whip, and you're gone. Love it. You just disappear. It's just great. Rory says, how do I donate? I have no idea how you donate. People are doing it. People are kind enough to donate. I presume there's a donate button somewhere. There must be, I guess. I don't know. I'd love to help you on that. I really would. But I can't even see it. So I presume there's a button you press. You say donate. But yeah, so hopefully over the Christmas period, a bit after, we'll have video reviews on both these. So you got to click the dollar sign, apparently, says Kirk. What's your take on the Gotway hollow motor bearing issues, and how are you dealing with them? Saving for one? Well, I will be once I get a proper job. So we've been through this already, but you have just joined us, so you wouldn't know that. So the Gotway ones, I haven't had any issues with the bearings so far. They've been fine. But the hollow bearing issue seems to be an issue across multiple brands. So the V11, we've had 5, which is small, by the way, in comparison, as I was saying earlier. I don't want to run through the same thing because some people have been on the line the whole time. But essentially, no issue so far with them. If theoretically, how would we deal with them? We would sort the customer out eventually, as long as we can get the parts. If it was going to be the same as the V11, then we've been replacing the motor units. So that's kind of how it's been going. Rather than popping the bearing out for all that hassle, we try to get the customer on the road as quick as possible, which is difficult to say now without a laughing face, because it's been really difficult to get stuff in. And we just look like idiots, which is really, really frustrating. You're like, yeah, we'll sort you out. 2 months later, it's like, but yeah. I have both the VA. Old retired dude says I have both the VAF and one wheel pint. Pint is great fun, but the VAF have much better commuting manners. So if anybody's got a one wheel that they want to let go, not for stupid money, then can you write in and say you're willing to sell it? Because I'll have it, because I would buy it off you. I just want to have one here to show people the difference between that and an electric unicycle. So there we go. Kirk sent something. It says this message is held for review, but what I'll do is I'll paste it because I can't show it. So I've just pasted that for you. Yeah, it just says error still. Recently, there was a massive e-vehicle protest that was ridden through Berlin. If we had one in London in the future, would you be there or help organise? Would I be a vigilante for the cause? Not sure. That's an interesting question, isn't it? Not sure I would. That is a good question. Where do I position myself within that? I don't know. I think we should give it a little bit of time with the e-scooter being legalised next year, and the police arresting as many people as they possibly, well, finding as many people as they possibly can prior to that law actually being going through, being actioned. I think I'd give it a little bit of time. I think there's hope, and to push the point in a way that wasn't conducive for a positive light put on it is a risky place to be. We're almost be in the stage of pushing a point where they're already on the route to making it legal anyway. And it's difficult to say. I think ultimately, ultimately I would probably be involved in it. Would I organise it? No, because there could potentially be litigation against a company as opposed to unknown people involved. So to put your name there and say, yeah, this is me, we're representing Speedy Feet and here we are protesting and holding up traffic, etc., could actually have a libel or some form of case against the company. Would I be there as a personal individual? Yeah, very likely. But as I say, I would give it some time, probably 12 months. We've been doing this, say, since early 2014. There's time. It'll come eventually. There we go. Next review is April 2022 is what Will's saying. But yeah, you can push these things and it's going to go one or two ways. It's either going to go really, really well or it's going to go really, really badly. And the risk of staying in limbo is less, I would say. And you know me, I'm all for it, absolutely. But it's a different question when you say, are you open to litigation to do this? When your livelihood's on the line. Than it is to say, as just an anonymous person at Rise One going around, is a different thing altogether in reality. So when you're in these shoes, yeah, it's just slightly different. Would I risk everything to go out for a protest? No, I would not. In short, 5 of my friends got the V11. 3 of us all need new motors after only a few hundred kilometers. Not feeling confident replacement motors will be any good. Interesting take on that. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. One thing's for sure, it'll be sorted eventually. You're talking bearing issue, so there will definitely be a bearing on the market that will sort all bearing issues out. It's just getting them in it. No need to lift the wheel on the stand, roll it in. Very true. Cool stand. I prefer the lifting stands. I need to minimize the width of the stand for some tight spaces. That's on the V11, I think. Yeah, I presume. Let me just have a quick look at that link that Kirk sent along. Boom. Oh, I see. That's pretty neat. I like that. And you got your little charger up there, stacked in there. Made it all. That's good, like that, Kirk. Good. Like it. Right, I suppose I should probably end this live stream at some point, shouldn't I? Should I end it now? Or should I go on for another 5 minutes? Entirely up to you. I wonder if I can show you the... I don't know if I can. I'll just show you a bit of a closer of the EEX. There we go. Just for your own amusement. There's that one. And then, of course, we've got the Pro. There we go. Monster Pro. Boom. You saw it. Dang, I just joined the EU Seaster. Well, welcome. We're only, what are we? We're only an hour and 31 minutes into this mammoth live stream that would usually be on for 45 minutes. Or by 2020 standards, we've been on about twice in 2020. Having haggis for Christmas, I am. Are you? Isn't haggis sheep's stomach stuffed with something? I think that's haggis, isn't it? The roll-in stand is not good for apartment dwellers, but if you have a garage, very true. If people respected the road, it would make it easier to legalise the e-community. Absolutely, yeah, true. It's always the same. A small number of people ruin it for the big majority. Speedy, do you have a physical store? We do. It's a mixture between my other business, UK Paintball. We sell paintball kit and have done for years. It's a mixture of that. So it's nothing that special. It's like a warehouse store. We've had converted to a store. It's usually full of mess, boxes and stuff. It was really nice once. But especially since lockdown, we've actually got so much stock in that the showroom is full of boxes. So it's got a load of Shermans in there. It's got KSS 18s in there. It's packed full. So there we go. How is the braking on the Monster Pro in your opinion? EVX said it was pretty dangerous. This little beauty has never been booted up because, like I said earlier, but you might not have been here, is that it's got no batteries in it because they ship separately and they arrived today. And it's got no foot plates attached to it. So those got to be fixed up. So, oh, but I will definitely report back. I mean, the review, as you know, it will be completely open and honest. Sometimes people get on the bigger wheels. It's like the Gen 1 Monster. That's slow to brake. Because just by the nature of what it is. It's 84 watt motor. Well, it's not. It's 84 watts is 84 volts is provided to the 2,500 watt motor, not 100, not 150 volts. You know, so the braking and the size of the wheel, it's slower than a lot of wheels to brake and to accelerate. Any idea why Gotway do such bad trolley handles when they are so heavy? I think they make a mistake there by putting trolley handles on heavy wheels. I think they shouldn't do them. Then they wouldn't be able, no one would be able to say your trolley handles are terrible because you haven't got one. So adding things onto things when you should just say, nah, because the wheel's too heavy. Anything above a certain weight, we're not going to do it. Or, like you say, if you're going to do it, then do it properly. Make some sort of huge aluminium frame that goes around the outside of the thing so you can pick it up. I don't know. Maybe something's better than nothing? I don't know. There we go. Haggis is amazing. I've never had it. Kirk says, where is it? It's in Mitcheldean, Gloucestershire. That's in the Forest of Dean. You want to send a friend over? Can you, which at the moment we can't accept anyone. So if it's like now, no. But if you're talking about in the future sometimes, yes, very likely. Can you organise a paintball match on EUCs? You definitely could do that. The issue is, and we have considered it again, the issue is you'd ideally need to do it indoor. You do it indoor and paint from paintballs is incredibly slippy. I've slipped off on it before. So there's a slight risk element to it. Haggis is a pudding with sheep's pluck minced with onion, oatmeal, suet, spices and salt mixed with stock and cooked in a sheep's stomach. Perhaps I should get a pot out and prepare it here in front of everyone. Is seats on EUC an American thing or more widespread, says Jazz Lou, I think is how you pronounce your name. So we use seats on our 1,000 miler, as you may have seen if you've watched the 1,000 miler. If you haven't seen our our charity ride from 3 years ago now, probably go back through the channel. There's a playlist for the 1,000 miler, it's called, and we did 1,080 miles for charity, for Bernardo's children's charity, raise money for that. And we use seats there. There's a very real reason to use them. The issues with seats is, which is less relevant now because you get a lot less cutouts than you used to. I mean, actual cutouts from riding just normally. You're riding along, minding your own business, and it suddenly shuts off. Not from going 55 miles an hour on a wheel when you weigh 25 stone. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actual cut-offs from a mechanical failure for no fault of the rider. Those were quite prevalent just 3 years ago when we went on the ride. And so we limited our sitting down as much as we possibly could because we were always open to the possibility that the wheel could shut off at any given time. Hence, we took spare control boards with us. In fact, on that ride, I did have a shut off, but there was rider error more than anything because I was going up a massively steep hill after it just being at one. The board was hot. We couldn't zigzag because there was traffic behind, etc. I was fine. Thanks for asking. So there's an inherent issue with sitting down. The possibility for injury from sitting down, even though you're closer to the ground, depending on the style of seat it is, when you're sat, if you look at the position you're in, and we've done a video on this already, you're in a triangular position. Your feet are clamped down onto the foot plates. Your shins are leant forward, pushing your feet down in, and you come up in a situation like that. So that's your legs. That's your thigh, down around the knee, into the foot plate. And so you're actually pretty much stuck on there. And if you have a stutter or a shut off, getting up is almost impossible. And so you're going to slam down. Rather than your hands hitting it and breaking your wrists, your knees go into the ground and force that into your hips. And so if you're traveling at speed, it doesn't even bear thinking about. So there we go. You asked, are they more popular? They're definitely more popular in the US than they are in the UK. But no, I don't really know why that is. But Yeah, we sell seats. I think we sold out of the M Super seats. Yeah, we have. Yep, Brian Wheels. So Brian Zoom Wheels, I think it's called. What's his seat called? Forgotten the name of the website now. He sells seats for the Sherman that sit up. Nice long seat. Sits across the whole top of the thing. Are there going to be any of the new wheels with smaller watt-hour batteries, as everything seems to be getting really heavy and not usable as any kind of commuter if you need to use public transport? So if you need to use public transport, you need to be looking, Dal, at basically the MCM5, which is a 1500 watt motor. It's a 14-inch wheel. It's really compact. It's shaped perfectly, so you can pick it up and put it on a rack and slide it back and forth. Nothing gets snagged on it. It's really good. The only downside is the trolley handle isn't that great. It's almost like a knife. You pull it up and it's got a real sharp edge on it. That's the only downside, really. There's loads of downsides if you wanted to take it, not for commuting, but do off-roading. Can't really off-road in it, but it makes a great commuting tool. And it depends how far you want to commute. The issue is with commuting is most people don't want to go 25 miles in one direction and come back again. And you tend to get smaller, lighter wheels, and smaller as in diameter of tyre, which makes them not as good for commuting as the bigger wheels. Like this would be really good for commuting, as in doing the actual journey. Terrible for taking on a train. Terrible taking up to your top floor flat. You know, great for ride. The ride quality is brilliant. I don't think you can have both. You can have a middle ground, but not both perfectly. Will said he would definitely be up for EUC paintball. Brilliant. Sign a disclaimer here. Lots of broken arms and collarbones. First I74S says first EUC, MSP or RS. Lots of sand here. Is RS worth to wait? You're riding on sand, which I wouldn't recommend on any wheel at all. Is it soft sand or compacted sand? You can blow a board fairly quickly on soft sand, and it gets everywhere. It gets up and in the machines like no one's business. It also depends on budget as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the MSP. A lot of people's focus has shifted across to the RS since it came out and it's sort of replacing the MSP. The MSP is brilliant wheel. Really good, yeah. Is Critical Pixel says, is taking an EUC abroad possible when travel is available again? Yes, if you're going by road. If you're going by aircraft, no, because 100 watt hours is the most they will allow you to carry. You can get special written permission, but you have to write in to ask for that, and they very often just say no way. And so then the only way is to send it as dangerous goods on a cargo aircraft, and that costs a fortune and not worth it. The other way to do it is to remove the batteries out and buy batteries whilst you're in your destination. A bit expensive and probably not worth it. But if you go by road, we've taken them over on road before to Spain. Old retired dude, are the big heavy wheels going to be as good as commuter wheels anyway? So trolley handle might be unneeded anyway. That's right, yeah. So bigger, heavier wheels are better for the actual ride quality in terms of commuting in long distance. But for commuting in, if you mean by commuting, going on a train on and off all the time, like the underground, not going to be any good, is it? Ian Williams, John Dingley invented the electric unicycle. He was a British inventor. Oh, there you go. I thought it was an American guy. Daniel Volonsky, I have an MCM5 new. The main problem with the handle, it's not sharpness, but it can't be fixed. I don't think you mean it because it keeps breaking all the time. I think you mean because it can't be fixed in an upright position, so it keeps dropping. I presume that's what you mean. Dell says, got the MCM5 and the M Super X from you. Was more of thinking X, etc., but smaller battery. Yeah, from that point of view, a smaller battery X, but it's not something we're likely to stock because the majority of people just want bigger. As I said earlier with the MCM4s, we bought the whole range and we just sold essentially the biggest version, biggest battery version. EUC basketball could be interesting. Absolutely. Give it a go. Give it a go, bouncing a ball. Me and John on the 1,000 miler, we did a game where we bounced a ball on the backcountry roads to each other. So we're in the middle of nowhere. So it's not dangerous, by the way. We obviously wouldn't do it if it wasn't the right environment. And we're bouncing a ball to each other and that getting that spin on the ball exactly right to land in someone's hands so they can catch it. Being able to ride and concentrate and catch at the same time. Quite difficult. And John doesn't throw properly, so it makes it really difficult. We lost it within like 5 minutes. And we bought 2. We lost both. Will says, am I the only one that would really prefer the low pedal version of the RS? I think it's a shame they've raised them to... I totally agree. Totally agree. I've not seen anyone say that. I love it. So I've got the RS with the lower pedals. They're not pedals, they're foot plates. So yeah, yeah, no, I like the low version. They call it low, but I've been off-roading on the thing and I've hardly had any issue at all. And so it's like, is it really an issue? And you could argue that it's just better to have higher because it's better to have higher. You know, you can't lose when it's higher. But yeah, there we go. You can't win, but what you can do is buy the pillars. So you can buy the low version and we will be stocking the pillars which allow you to hire it up. So you could just sell it with it when you come to sell the wheel and say, well, I've got the high ones as well. Or you could actually fit them to raise it up. I was talking about it earlier, having a motor in there to higher and lower on the fly. That would be the answer to that, wouldn't it? Rob's got to run. Thank you, Rob. Have a good Christmas. Really, really good to see you again. Been a long, long time. Well, I can't see you, but I can see you writing. Merry Christmas, everyone. Wishing you a better 2021. Thank you, Ian. No problem, Rob. Have a good one, mate. Rory, I can't wait to get back on the V8 and have some fun outdoors and feel like I'm flying. I know. It's therapeutic. It's absolutely amazing. It should be administered by doctors. Hi, ride with low-cut van-style runners, considering to get a low-cut waterproof Oxford Warrior motorcycle boot for the Canadian cold. Any experience with motorcycle boots on an EUC, or are they too rigid? Rigid came to mind as soon as you started mentioning it. I've got several motorcycle footwear because I ride motorbikes. I've got a trials bike still, but I haven't got a road bike anymore because I am not a sensible boy and I got young children, so I got rid of it. For now, I'll be back, as Arnie would say. They're too rigid, I would say. I got sport street, something they're called, ankle boots. So they got the impact side wall essentially on the boot. But even that, it's just too rigid and actually it sticks out too much. It pushes your legs out slightly. Not comfortable. But you're talking about presumably primarily covering off for the cold weather. If you're doing that, why don't you look at getting some battery-powered socks? There are such things. And so you get lithium-ion battery packs in them and you can charge them by USB. And they'll give you heat for 20, 30 minutes. So worthwhile looking at them. They're cheap as chips. Look on eBay. Hopefully you don't get cheap as chip ones because they'll probably set your feet on fire and they'll be too hot then. Can you ride a pump track? Is it any good? You definitely can. And you can get quite a bit of air off it as well. There's quite a few videos out on YouTube. People on pump tracks. Tarmac. Probably lost the audio there for a second. Sherman has higher pedal than this batch, they say. Mine comes Saturday. Heard about that. The Sherman, they've lifted it by 2 mil, I think. 1 or 2 mil. They've lifted the footplate height. Don't know why. I think because people keep saying it's too low. Not had any issues in the last 2,000 miles or whatever we've done on them. But yeah, I think they've raised it by 1 or 2 mil. Dell says, what you having for Christmas dinner? Just wondering. Non-EUC related, but had to ask, seeing it's been so long. Turkey and gammon. I've got a gammon steak and a turkey coming. Will prices go up in New Year because of Brexit? Dan says. Dan, don't think so. It depends on what sort of deal comes about. But theoretically, anyone now doesn't have to pay our 20% VAT. So if you're in an EU country that on imports charges 10% VAT, say. I don't know if there is any that charge 10. There's some that charge 18 and things like that and 12. When we send it out to you, when you buy from outside, we're exporting now rather than just being free trade. So you don't pay the 20% as of 1st of January, I think it is, if they ever come to a deal. Then you don't pay that 20%. So it's all ex-VAT prices for everyone outside of the UK. So in some cases, it may actually be cheaper in that term. So unless there's something thrown in there, some spanner, the prices should basically remain the same, but ex-VAT will be for everyone outside the UK. And there's some real weird things and complexity that makes us have to charge for some cost that's been put in, but I don't foresee it, but it's hard to say, isn't it, really? I heard this batch from Ewells was higher, but didn't confirm. Yes, so 1 or 2 mil. Fod Rocks, high. We use 3 different versions of MC short boots, and they are great. Course XL Moto, do some good ones with zips on the side, so need to mess with the laces, yes. Yes, you're right, Ewells, a bunch of original low plates in stock. If you wanted them, I agree with the heated socks. I have fur-lined boots and it's still not warm enough for Michigan winters. That's right, so get some warmer socks, as in actual ones that warm up with lithium-ion batteries. Well, Olaf says, read the plate shift. I can tell you now, probably, because I got a chat with Veteran. Okay, I think I'm back on. So I think you might have lost the sound there for a second, but I'm back on. But you're going to lose the sound again. Someone wants me to confirm the difference in footplate height on the Sherman. So you're going to lose it because the microphone's here in my hand. Okay, I think I am back. 1 centimetre. Yes, 1 centimetre, not 1 to 2 mil. 1 centimetre. So what's a centimetre? That is it. Something like, cramp. Oh, cramp in my hand. That's bad, isn't it? It's 1 centimetre. So yeah, 1 centimetre shift. I'm not sure why. I've had no issues with it at all. And I hope it doesn't mess around with that lovely dynamic that Sherman's got. That'd be good. So yeah. Ian Williams, to keep your feet warm, there's some socks called Heat Wave. They sell them on eBay. If you get the 2.3 tog, they keep your feet really warm in up to -10. £16 for 3 pairs. Are they the 2.3? Are they actually heated with lithium ion, or are they just batteries at a 2.3 batteries? Are they just socks at a 2.3 tog? Patrick says, been doing a nice beef stew for Christmas dinner for many years now. Well, send it over, Patrick. Send it over. Marcus Sweden is in the house. Any rumours of updated or new models of suspension wheels? None. That's the end of that question. Yeah, so sound went earlier. You may have noticed sound went. It's because I had to cut. One, I keep getting a call come through and it keeps cutting the sound out. And secondly, I had to quickly go and check a conversation I had with Veteran about the footplate height rise, which, to confirm, is 1 centimetre. Christian says, I think he's saying free wheels for all. Very funny. I wonder if I was actually saying that when the sound went, but you didn't hear it, so don't count. Let's have a look. Less than half an inch. Got to shoot. Have a smashing Christmas, Ian, Speedy Feet team, and all the viewers, of course. You too. Thank you very much for joining in. And I think I'm actually going to have to go as well now. This chat's gone on for 1 hour and 50 minutes. So there we go. I will then say goodbye because I'm down now 2 hours of work. So I've got to catch up. But I will bid you all a happy Christmas and thank you so much. It's been really, really good. Loads and loads of chatter going on. It's good to see the community is still going strong. Lots of people in there. So have a really good Christmas. I hope it's a blessed one. And I really hope, despite all these restrictions, you get together with your family and your loved ones and you give them a hug and tell them that they're really, really valued because it's really important you do that. I know it's not to do with electric unicycle. Hug your electric unicycle as well. There we go. It's relevant now. Hug your Monster Pro if you have one. I'll hug both these before I leave tonight. And just really enjoy it. And I just hope you have a real blessed one. It's been a bit of a strange year. But we're going to have really good stuff coming next year. We're going strong. And for all the customers that are waiting for parts and wheels to arrive, thank you so much for your patience. I've gone grayer and grayer and grayer trying to get stuff through with no control over the situation whatsoever. So thank you very much for bearing with us. We do actually really, really appreciate it. Do not take it for granted whatsoever. So have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Goodbye.